All right, you know what time it is. It is fucking football time with sexy Mclovin.
Week 15.
Yep, getting to the end, see?
Getting there. We're almost there.
Bills game delayed to clean up rubber pellets. The second half of Sunday's game between the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers was delayed by 7 minutes after piles of rubber pellets covered the sideline in both end zones.
Did you see this?
No.
Yeah, it was. They were everywhere. Basically, with this new field turf, they have these rubber pellets underneath the turf itself to soften the blow for guys, when they're taking hits, so they're not playing on, concrete. So the rubber's there to, it's easier to play on, it's easier to run on, and it's better, to take hits on. So careers can be extended, but basically they had a truckload of these, the black rubber, and it was everywhere, and it took them, 10 minutes to clear it off, so it was pretty funny. But, someone messed up there. Someone lost their job.
Running back Bell post record-setting day in Steelers win. Running back Le'Veon Bell set the Steelers' single-game record with 236 rushing yards on 38 carries Sunday against the Buffalo Bills, and he also tied a team record with 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, like I was saying, I think last week, I think he's the best running back in the league. I don't think there's a close second, to be honest with you, what he can do in the run game, the pass game. I think you tread lightly with this, but he reminds me a lot of Barry Sanders when he makes moves, quick twitches, and guys can't tackle him. But he's definitely a lot of people don't talk about him because he's so good. But I think Pittsburgh, if they can somehow sneak into the playoffs with Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger, that's an offense that nobody wants to play. They just have to figure if they could ever figure it out on defense, they'd be a tough team. But I got Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown on my fantasy teams. I'm in the semifinals, so I need to. They're playing. Who are they playing this week? Some Cincinnati, so they should have another big game. So
Ryan Kerrigan saves Redskins after Kirk Cousins rallies offense. The Redskins got big plays from Kirk Cousins and Ryan Kerrigan to escape with a 27-22 win over the Eagles.
This has been like the whole year for Washington. It seems like they've been in a lot of tight games and they've won some, they've lost some. You got to give Kirk Cousins a lot of credit for never giving up. This is a game they needed to win against an arch rival in Philly at Philly. Granted, Philly's not a great football team, but still Washington. All you have to, it's just like college basketball right now. Everything is survive and advance. You need to win your games to move on, and let the numbers work out as they may. But if you continue to win, it's going to make it that hard for them to tell you that you can't be in the playoffs.
Jets running back Forte to undergo MRI for injured knee. Matt Forte left the Jets game against the 49ers on Sunday with a right knee injury.
It's the guy that's was banged up last couple of years with Chicago. The Jets picked him up in free agency. It was a good pickup. He started off real well. The Jets actually started off, for the first 3 or 4 games of the year until Decker went down and it seemed like the whole world collapsed for him. Forte is a very productive back. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run. But he's definitely seen his better years. He's definitely on the downside of his career. And I think the Jets still have 2 years left on his contract with about $6 to $8 million. So they'll get every bit of 2 years out of Matt Forte for the next couple of years. It's a question of how relevant they are going to be, going forward.
A. Jones uses garbage can to rate Pryor's play. Bengals cornerback Adam Jones said he doesn't like Browns wide receiver Terrell Pryor Sr. In an animated postgame rant Sunday, Jones said Pryor's play was, quote, right there in the garbage can.
Pac-Man Jones is we've talked about him. He's a lowlife. He's a scumbag. He's a piece of shit. Just the fact of the matter, this guy still has a job is unbelievable to me. Terrell Pryor is a very, very good receiver. Hopefully someone in New England can get their hands on in the offseason maybe or via trade maybe for the quarterback there, Garoppolo. But, Pac-Man Jones, never had a loss for words, never, it's all about him. And, unfortunately, he just continues the media will follow him because there's always a story. So I don't really care much for him at all.
Source, Stafford has torn ligaments in finger. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford suffered a PIP joint dislocation and torn ligaments to the middle finger of his throwing hand that require he plays the rest of 2016 with a glove, a source said.
Well, it is what it is. It's football. It's physical. You're going to get hurt. They need Stafford. I mean, without him, they're not. They won't have a chance to win. But they got a pretty good lock on the NFC North right now. They just have to win their games and not let Green Bay or Minnesota creep back in. But you got to give Matt Stafford a lot of credit. No one's really talked about Detroit, but they're sitting there at 9-4. They've done a great job, won some big games, against Minnesota, and then they beat New Orleans at New Orleans, and you got to give a lot of credit to Matt Stafford. They actually became a better team without Megatron there, so he has to play in order for him to win. But he's a tough bastard. I met him a couple times. He's a competitor. He'll do whatever he can to help that team win. Maybe they could be a team that will sneak up on some people. If they can get the 3 seed, then they can at least guarantee one home game in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. They're still the Lions. We have to remember that, but they're not a bad team to root for. I don't have any problems with the Lions.
Rex on reports of possible firing. Quote, first I've heard. Rex Ryan and several Buffalo players said following Sunday's loss they did, quote, not know anything about a CBS Sports report that the Bills coach could be fired as soon as Monday. No, that hasn't happened yet. Yeah,
they're not going to fire him, especially now. Basically, obviously the Rams went ahead and fired Fisher. Thank God. So usually what happens in the NFL is, on Black Monday in about 3 weeks, all the guys, there's going to be 5 or 6 or 7 teams that haven't fired their head coach, and then you'll have your candidates, and then they'll fall quick, and then I think Buffalo right now. I don't think Rex is a terrible head coach. I mean, you got to figure. You always have to look back. If you fire Rex, you got to find somebody to bring in. You can't just fire somebody to fire somebody. Because that's how teams get worse, like San Francisco 49ers. But is he terrible? No. Is he a head coach? He's not a good head coach. He's a great defensive coordinator. Unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out. But I don't know many coaches that can come in there and make that team a playoff team. Only time will tell. If I were to bet, I'd say they would not. I think they give Rex one more year. I'd give Rex one more year, but we'll see what happens.
Rams Fisher ties NFL mark with 165th career loss. This is before he got fired. Los Angeles Rams coach Jeff Fisher suffered his 165th career defeat in a 42-14 blowout at the hands of the Atlanta Falcons, tying him with Dan Reeves for most career losses by an NFL head coach.
I think it's the first time ever. In last week's press conference, they were talking about his 2 years extension, and next week he's getting fired. 165 losses. I was listening to the radio yesterday. I guess Bill Belichick can lose next 6 seasons. Bill Belichick can lose every single game and still have a better winning percentage than Jeff Fisher. So think about that for a sec. Jeff Fisher's terrible. It's about time. I think we've been killing him now for years. I don't remember the last time he was over 500. He's a mediocre. He's not even a mediocre coach. So he'll land somewhere. He'll be an offensive he'll be an assistant somewhere. But I don't think he'll ever be a head coach again.
Eagles heated over, quote, cheap shot on Sproles. The Philadelphia Eagles sideline was fuming after a brutal hit by Washington Redskins safety DeShazier Everett on a defenseless Darren Sproles early in the fourth quarter.
I didn't see it. From what I heard about it, I guess it was pretty bad. But, Darren Sproles is already a midget to begin with. You don't need guys taking hits after the play. But I didn't see much of it.
Quarterback Rodgers hurts calf on touchdown pass and Packers win. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers hurt his right calf on the third play of Sunday's game and believes it might have been a product of him compensating for the hamstring injury he suffered 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw this. They really put the smack down on Seattle. I was glad to see that. I hate Seattle. I hate Pete Carroll. I hate Richard Sherman. I hate all those guys. Green Bay actually played a 4-quarter game for the first time in maybe 2 or 3 years. The defense had 5 picks. Montgomery ran the ball well. Aaron, played extremely well. They scored just on every possession pretty much. They were flying at all cylinders. Granted, they were home, but they still beat a pretty good Seattle team. Now they're just going to have to win out, to have a shot in the playoffs. If they do make the playoffs, they're going to be a team that nobody wants to play, I can tell you that. But, we'll see what happens. They still have to win the rest of their games. But they woke up from their little nap, and they went 0-4 in the middle of the season. So we'll see if they dug themselves too big of a hole, or if they can, climb out of that and make the playoffs.
Vereen returns for Giants, exits with concussion. Giants running back Shane Vereen, who was activated off injured reserve Saturday after missing 9 games with a torn triceps, left Sunday's game against Dallas in the second quarter with a concussion.
Yeah, Andy was actually asking me, was Vereen back? And then, he gets the ball, and then he's out for the game. He really hasn't. I think he was out since week 3, and then he got the concussion. So, you got to give a lot of credit to the Giants. They played extremely well on Sunday night. The defense, shut down the Cowboys and Prescott and Elliott and Des Bryant. They had one big play. It was one play really determined the entire game. But they got to give the Giants a lot of credit. They've single-handedly have given Dallas both their losses this year, and they're not world beaters, but you got to give them a lot of credit. And they have been running the ball for what it's worth. Maybe not for a yard per carry that they want, but at least it's eating up clock where they're not allowing the other offense to be on the field.
Gurley says the Rams look like middle school team. Running back Todd Gurley ripped the Rams' offensive efforts after their lopsided loss to the Falcons on Sunday, likening it to a middle school team's unit.
He's correct. I mean, they got their asses kicked against Atlanta. I mean, they didn't care. No one cared. Fisher gave up. The players gave up, and I think it was the right thing to do by firing him. I think Todd Gurley has really had a tough year. He's really hasn't really had a 100-yard game. I don't think yet so far. I really think they buried him. In that offense, and things are going to change in LA. And I think he's the guy that you're going to have to revolve the offensive around. But they did. They looked like shit.
Supreme Court won't review $1 billion concussion deal. The Supreme Court on Monday rejected the final 2 challenges to the estimated $1 billion settlement between the NFL and the thousands of its former players who have been diagnosed with brain injuries.
I don't know much about the situation, but we'll see. We'll see. They write an article next week about it.
For once, Dak Prescott could not find answers. Would the 11-2 Cowboys consider a quarterback change? If Dak Prescott's struggles continue, Coach Jason Garrett might have to consider playing Tony Romo.
It's a bunch of bullshit. Dak Prescott's their quarterback. It's almost better that he has a bad game, before the playoffs start, to get that out of his system. There's no controversy in Dallas. I don't care what anyone says. It's a bunch of garbage. It's just for the media. Dak Prescott's earned that job. He'll unless he completely shits the bed, he's not going to be relieved of his starting role. As much as people want to see the drama and the controversy, I think Dak Prescott's their quarterback unless he gets hurt.
Manziel to Carr, quote, take you up on friendship offer. Raiders quarterback Derek Carr told the MMQB.com that he'd like to help former Browns quarterback Johnny Manziel, who was drafted ahead of him in 2014, and Manziel tweeted that he'd take Carr up on his offer.
Good luck.
Tannehill has ACL, MCL sprains in left knee. Dolphins quarterback Ryan Tannehill does not have a torn ACL. He has ACL and MCL sprains in his left knee that will not require surgery.
Yeah, I was listening to Adam Gase, his conference, and they didn't rule him out for the rest of the year. It's going to be difficult for him to play. They're going ahead with Matt Moore, who I don't think has played since he was the backup with Carolina, 4 or 5 years ago, 3 years ago. T.J. Yates is the backup, so we'll see what can happen. That's a huge loss for them. They really need him for the rest of the year, but we'll see. It's football. Everybody gets hurt.
Injured finger won't sideline Stafford versus Giants. Lions coach Jim Caldwell said that despite quarterback Matthew Stafford's finger injury, he will play Sunday against the Giants.
He has to play.
Wrist surgery to end Eagles' Dorenbos' season. Eagles long snapper John Dorenbos will miss the rest of the season after undergoing wrist surgery.
I don't know much about him.
Notre Dame quarterback Kaiser declaring for NFL draft. Notre Dame quarterback Deshaun Kaiser has decided to declare for the NFL draft.
Stupid. He should go back for one more year, in my opinion.
Cards Floyd arrested on DUI, other charges. Cardinals wide receiver Michael Floyd was arrested early Monday on multiple charges, including driving under the influence.
Yeah, I read this. About 1:30 in the morning. I guess he was drinking on the plane and got pulled over. It was actually fell asleep at the wheel or something like that. So, too bad.
Kubiak to send video of hit on Harris Jr. to NFL. Broncos coach Gary Kubiak said Monday he would formally send video to the NFL of Harry Douglas's low hit on Chris Harris Jr. during Denver's loss to the Titans on Sunday.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. He should receive a hefty fine, if not a suspension. It was not good. Hopefully he's suspended.
Jeffrey back with Bears has extra motivation. Bears coach John Falk said Alshon Jeffrey's expiring contract was extra motivation for Jeffrey to stay in shape during his 4-game suspension.
Yeah, it's true. When there's money involved, these guys will stay in shape and they'll continue to play, knowing that their contract year is up.
Dickerson on Rams is firing Fisher. Quote, "It was time." Eric Dickerson said he will return to Rams games now that Jeff Fisher has been fired as coach.
Who cares? Good.
Rams COO. Fisher firing, quote, "organizational failure." Jeff Fisher lost his job as coach of the Rams after he helped transition the team to Los Angeles and went 31-45-1 in nearly 5 seasons. John Fassel will step in as the interim coach.
Yeah, he really didn't do much there. He granted he didn't have a lot to play with, but still, he couldn't get him anywhere. They had a couple big wins against Seattle over the years, but other than that, they were never in the playoff hunt. So it's good riddance.
The Jeff Fisher Rams are an offensive tragedy. If there's a theme to the Rams' unyielding mediocrity under Fisher, it's a bad offense that seems to get worse the more resources it's given.
Correct. Especially with a rookie quarterback.
Prosecutor wants 60 years for Smith's killer. The Orleans Parish District Attorney said he'll seek 60 years in prison for the man who killed former New Orleans Saints star Will Smith.
Yeah, I read a little bit about this the other day. They're determining whether it was self-defense or it was, premeditated. Sounds like the guy who shot Will Smith is telling 2 different stories, so we'll see. I'm sure it won't be 60 years, but I'm sure he'll get something. Vikings
Peterson hopes to practice this week. Minnesota Vikings running back Adrian Peterson said he's hoping to practice this week for the first time since he tore his meniscus on September 18th.
Yeah, they're going to need him. We'll see if it really even means anything. I think, ever since North Turner left and, Bridgewater got hurt and, Peterson got hurt, they've really been dealt a tough hand, but they still were playing pretty well until they had a lot of holes that were pointed out, and then that's when they lost, 3 or 4 in a row. So we'll see if they can rebound.
Browns Jackson wants Pryor to stop trash talking. Browns coach Hugh Jackson wants to see Terrell Pryor tone down the trash talk after Bengals cornerback Adam Jones spent several minutes dismissing the Browns wide receiver following Sunday's victory over Cleveland.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think, you know how I feel about talking through the media. It's a bunch of garbage. But I think, Hugh Jackson, it's the last thing he wants to worry about right now.
Chargers running back Gordon day-to-day for hip and knee. Chargers running back Melvin Gordon has a hip strain and left knee sprain, but could play Sunday against the Raiders, Coach Mike McCoy said.
I don't think he's going to play. He's on my fantasy team. I'd like him to play, but I don't think he is. San Diego season's pretty much over. But he's a competitor. I'm sure he'll want to play, but I think when it comes down to it, he won't be ready.
Garrett, quote, Dak's going to play quarterback. After Sunday's 10-7 loss to the Giants, Cowboys coach Jason Garrett said at no point did he contemplate pulling Dak Prescott in favor of Tony Romo.
No, and Jason Garrett, if it's truly his call, Prescott will be the quarterback. The only way Romo goes in is if Jerry Jones, tells Garrett to put him in. I think that's the only way you'll see it, or if Prescott gets hurt.
Rex on hot seat, quote, not signing up for a dismissal. Bills coach Rex Ryan said quarterback Tyrod Taylor will remain as a team starter. As for being on the hot seat, Ryan said he is, quote, assuming he's going to be back next season.
I think he should assume that he'll be back next season.
Police report, Floyd changed story during arrest. Michael Floyd indicated he was going to drive off, had difficulty complying with officers' instructions, and changed his story multiple times during his DUI arrest, according to a police report.
Not surprised.
Justin Tucker's field goal streak falls one short of Ravens' record. Ravens kicker Justin Tucker's perfect season and a chance to tie a franchise record ended with a block in the first quarter.
Poor baby. Too bad.
Ex-Raven Rulian, 29, dies after brain aneurysm. Conrad Rulian, the former tight end for the Ravens and Jets, died Monday at age 29, weeks after he suffered a brain aneurysm.
That's not good.
Ravens, Browns, Cards to make London debuts. The NFL has announced its 4 regular season games for London in 2017. Ravens, Jaguars, Saints, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, and Cardinals, Rams.
Yeah, 4 teams that don't really care too much about their home game. You know, when you're looking at the Browns and the Jacksonville and who are the other 2?
I forget.
Anyway, yeah.
Ravens, Jacksonville, Cleveland, somebody or other, New Orleans, somebody or other.
LA.
Yeah.
So, they're just continuing to put dog shit, dog shit, games in front of the crowds over in London who don't really care about football.
Jerry on quarterback switch. Quote, know it when you see it. Cowboys GM Jerry Jones said, quote, you'll know it when you see it when talking about a potential change from Dak Prescott to Tony Romo down the stretch.
Yeah, I only think they only make that if Jones makes that call, which I don't think he will.
Dolphins play center Pouncey with his hip on IR. The Miami Dolphins play center Mike Pouncey on season-ending injured reserve because of a hip injury that limited him to 5 games this year.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I don't know what they said the record in his 5 games, but they had to have been 5-0 or 4-1. He was the main reason that offensive line came back together, and, Jai went nuts, and they went, 6 or 7 games in a row. He is the glue to that offensive line, but now he's down, and, that's not going to help them, especially with the quarterback being down.
Why more London games? NFL eyeing 400 million worldwide fans. It shouldn't come as a surprise that the NFL is adding a 4th London game next season as the league endures increased scrutiny over its TV ratings stateside.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. They're looking to get money, from all over the world, obviously, and, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better over in London.
Dolphins signed T.J. Yates to backup quarterback Moore. The Dolphins, looking to add depth following the injury to starting quarterback Ryan Tannehill, signed T.J. Yates to be the backup to Matt Moore.
T.J. Yates, I think the last time we saw him was down in Houston. He is what he is. He's serviceable. We'll see if he even gets an opportunity to play. But Matt Moore has, he's got a huge, significant, opportunity in front of him. See if he can capitalize.
Burfict apologized to Antonio Brown in person. Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown says he got an apology from Bengals linebacker Vontaze Burfict in the offseason when the two crossed paths in Miami.
It's the least he could do. He should apologize, right after it happened and, all the bullshit that, he was faking and everything like that. So, Vontaze Burfict's a piece of shit. Ravens waive kick returner Hester following Monday Night Football miscues. The Ravens waived veteran returner Devin Hester after his indecision led to a safety in Monday's loss to New England. Yeah, he could have caught the ball at about the 19 or the 20, let it bounce, and then, they downed it at the half-yard line, and then the Pats, stopped him for a stuff and a safety next play. Seahawks Carroll not interested in Rams job. Seahawks coach Pete Carroll rules out the possibility of taking over the Rams. Yeah, he was down in LA when he coached USC, but I don't think that'd be a good move for him at all. Texans place rookie wide receiver Miller with his shoulder on IR. Braxton Miller's rookie year is over as the Texans have placed the wide receiver on injured reserve with a shoulder injury. Yeah, we talked a little bit about Braxton Miller last week. He's a dynamic guy. He can, catch the ball, run the ball. He was a quarterback in college, great athlete, but really never got a chance to see the field this year. And now, he'll have a lot of time to rest up before 2017. Struggling kicker Nugent released by Bengals. Mike Nugent was released by the Bengals on Tuesday. Cincinnati moved on from the struggling kicker and replaced him with Randy Bullock. It's like, what do you call it? It's like the NBA coaching. It's like a revolving door. All these kickers just going from one team to the next. Dolphins defensive end Jordan won't be activated this season. Miami Dolphins defensive end Deion Jordan will remain on the reserve non-football injury list, and he will miss his second consecutive full season. Yeah, this guy's got a lot of talent. They'll keep him for another, and we'll see if he can, come back and help that defense in year 3 for him.
Harbaugh tells Wolverines to ignore NFL, quote, lies. Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh quickly put to rest speculation about his return to the NFL, telling players rumors were, quote, lies made up by our enemies.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
City, county, OK talks on $1.3 billion Raiders Stadium. A financial development proposal has been approved to allow stadium negotiations to begin between Oakland and an investors group managed by Ronnie Lott and the Fortress Investment Group.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, like I said, it's very difficult to get something built in California. If they've just started it now, you're going to be looking at 5 or 6 years down the road. We'll see if, Oakland can wait that long.
Manning downplays slump. Quote, I know I can get hot. Giants quarterback Eli Manning has thrown for fewer than 200 yards in each of his past 3 starts, but he dismissed talk of a slump Tuesday. Quote, I know I can make plays, he said. Quote, I have to keep working.
That's true. He made one play that mattered Beckham made the play, but all that matters is they win the game.
By any number, Ty Montgomery is a Packers running back for good. Forget about his number and ignore the depth chart. Ty Montgomery is a running back for the Packers and will remain so for the foreseeable future.
Correct. He's playing well.
Vote. Who should be the next Rams head coach? Jim Harbaugh, Josh McDaniels, Nick Saban. The list of potential candidates is long, but who should get the call to replace Jeff Fisher?
Whoever gets, I don't think it's as a great job, you just mentioned those names. They're going to throw a lot of money at somebody and, hopefully, they can get a name that they can hang their hat on, but I don't think that's a job that anyone's is lunging at right now.
Rams had no choice but to fire Jeff Fisher. There were other circumstances involved, but the bottom line was that the Rams lost 8 of 9 games during a season when they needed to look good.
Correct.
Sherman rips NFL for Thursday's slate, quote, poop fest. Richard Sherman ripped the NFL for its Thursday game, saying the Seahawks are the, quote, the last ones to get the middle finger.
It's true. I hate Richard Sherman, but, it's difficult to play a game on Sunday and then, have to come back and play Thursday night, but everyone has to do it.
Gurley hopes Rams take comments, quote, to heart. One day after Jeff Fisher's firing, running back Todd Gurley reiterated that he was, quote, speaking the truth when he called out the Rams' quote, middle school offense and questioned the effort of his teammates.
He's right on the money.
Lions Stafford, finger won't change game plan. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford doesn't expect the game plan to change against the Giants despite his injured finger.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I think they'll still, go at it as if he has, his finger's fine.
San Diego running out of lifelines in the Chargers Stadium saga. While the Chargers press forward with actions that could lead to relocation, there appears to be little movement taking shape in San Diego.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult to get a stadium built there, like I said, because of the state of California.
NFL official on Raiders stadium deals. Quote, I don't see Oakland as competing with Las Vegas. Oakland's latest proposal still has a long way to go in order to satisfy what the NFL wants for the Raiders.
Yeah, all the NFL has to do is give Vegas the head nod, and they'll start building tomorrow.
Dolphins special teams coach, quote, offended by cheating allegations. Dolphins special teams coach Darren Rizzi vehemently denied allegations by Cardinals coach Bruce Arians that Miami yelled out a snap count.
I don't know much about it.
Moving on from Josh Norman, the worst decision in Panthers history. Gambling on Sean Gilbert, releasing Steve Smith, giving $42 million to Jake Delhomme, none of those topped the mistake of letting their star cornerback walk away.
Yeah, definitely has hurt them more than they thought it was going to hurt them.
Jason Garrett excels at muting Jerry Jones's conflicting comments. Cowboys coach Jason Garrett has proven to be adept at managing and ignoring owner Jerry Jones's conflicting messages.
I think it's all a game for them.
Trades have Browns, Titans set up for a big 2017 NFL draft. Both teams will be picking early and often in April's draft after some key trades, but only one will be looking for a quarterback.
They need him. They need all the picks.
Well, speaking of all the picks, we're going right now to our picks. Here's the deal. So before I go into this, Yes to Anything That Is Cool Awesome actually emailed me and pointed something out I wasn't thinking. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. had commented, is it okay after my Thursdays, aside from the Thursday's game, can I change my picks for Sunday? And I said, yeah, because I didn't think it was a big deal. Didn't realize that obviously Friday, Saturday, there could be extra news to allow people the ability to have an advantage to try to change their picks to obviously have a better chance of winning.
I didn't know this. I would have said no.
Correct. So I screwed up.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, now that he had already changed his picks, no one else can change your picks. Now, CV Gun, Vadix, and yes to anything that is cool, awesome. Since you're still in the running, if you'd like to have you have one opportunity. You're just going to email me, so it's fair is fair, to be able to change your picks once. You can do so. They have to be in by Sunday, obviously, before kickoff. But you all will have the opportunity. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., you cannot change your picks anymore. And that's how that's going to go. Now, going into the standings...
Can I change my pick?
It's going into the standings of last week. All right, Vadix went 7-9. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. went 12-4. CV Gunn went 9-7. Yes to anything that is cool, awesome went 9-7. So the standings: in first place, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. 132, 72-2. Second place, yes to anything that is cool, awesome 131, 72-2. Only a game out. Oh wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. I did the math wrong. 77 plus 4 is 80. Wait a minute. 68 and 4, 7. How is this possible? 123 and 9 is 130. They're tied. 123 and 9 is 132. All right. So there was a tie for first between Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. and yes to anything that is cool, awesome. They are both 132, 72-2. In third place, you have CV Gunn at 120, 84-2, 12 games out. And in last place, you have Vadix, 106, 98-2, 26 games out. Between me and Mclovin, I went 6-10 last week, the worst of anybody. I am now 112, 92-2, and Mclovin went 11-5. He is now 136, 68-2. I am 24 games behind Mclovin. Also, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., you beat Mclovin, so you get a gift card. But right now, Mclovin has a 4-game lead over Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. and yes to anything that is cool, awesome. Going into week 15, we got 3 weeks left of this sexy football season. So, let's start with Thursday's game. You got Los Angeles going into Seattle. Seattle's favored by 15.5.
This is, I guess, take Seattle minus the points. I think that the Rams are really a really bad team. That's such a big number. But Seattle is coming off a tough loss. They're going to want to kick the shit out of them. I think, they'll beat them by 3 touchdowns. So take Seattle minus, 15.5?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Saturday night game. Miami going into New York to face the Jets. Miami on the road is favored by 2.5.
It's going to be a tough one. The Jets are terrible, but Miami doesn't have their quarterback or their center. So, I mean, I'm going to take the Jets.
Ooh.
No, I'm going to. Can I switch my pick?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm going to take Miami minus the 2.5.
All right. Sunday's games. Green Bay going into Chicago. Green Bay on the road, favored by 6.5.
I think Green Bay is going to beat them up pretty good. They need to win this game, so I'm going to take the Packers minus 6.5.
Jacksonville going into Houston for a divisional matchup. Houston favored by 6 at home.
Take Houston minus the points. I think they need this game, to stay with Indianapolis in the hunt for the division lead. I think Jacksonville is done, but I think Houston will beat them by a touchdown. So Houston minus 6. Cleveland going into Buffalo. Buffalo at home favored by 10. Take Buffalo minus 10. I think Cleveland is terrible. Actually, I've won a lot of these games now that I've taken Cleveland because, they I don't know what they are against the spread this year, but it's not good, just like their record. So take Buffalo minus the points. Philadelphia going into Baltimore. Baltimore at home favored by 5.5. Baltimore minus the points. Once again, this is another team that needs this win badly, and I think that it'll be close, but I think they'll win by 2 field goals. So take Buffalo minus the point. Take Baltimore minus the points. Tennessee going into Kansas City. Kansas City is at home favored by 5.5. Take Kansas City minus the points. Another team that needs to win. Kansas City needs to keep pace with Oakland for the NFC West. So I think they'll beat Tennessee pretty handily and win by 7 to 10 points. So take Kansas City minus the points.
Detroit going into New York Giants. Giants at home favored by 4.5.
This is a tough one. I'm going to take Detroit plus the points. The Giants played well. They beat a superior team in Dallas, but I think Detroit is going to, take advantage of. I think the Giants may have a hangover after that game, so I'll take the Detroit plus the points.
Indianapolis goes into Minnesota. Minnesota at home favored by 4.5.
I'm going to take Indianapolis plus the points. I think they have a lot to play for. They have a better quarterback, and we'll see. So take Indianapolis plus the points.
Pittsburgh going into Cincinnati. Pittsburgh on the road favored by 3.
Take Pittsburgh minus the points. Pittsburgh is running tight with Baltimore right now, and they both need to win. So I think Pittsburgh beats up on a terrible Cincinnati team at Cincinnati. So take Pittsburgh minus the points.
Then we got the 4:05 game. New Orleans goes into Arizona. Arizona at home favored by 2.5.
I'm going to take New Orleans plus the points. I think that Drew Brees is going to, come back after a couple shitty games and play well. So take New Orleans plus the points.
San Francisco goes into Atlanta. Atlanta at home favored by 13.5.
I think it's going to be a long day for San Francisco. Take Atlanta minus the 13.
13.5.
13.5.
Yeah. 4:25 p.m. game. New England goes into Denver. New England on the road favored by 3.
Take New England's favored?
By 3, yeah. New England minus 3.
Wow, take the Pats minus the 3, I would say. It's going to be a close one.
Oakland goes into San Diego. Oakland on the road favored by 3.
Oakland minus 3.
Sunday night's game. Tampa Bay goes into Dallas. Dallas at home favored by 7.
I'm going to take Tampa plus the points.
And then Monday night's game. Carolina goes into Washington. Washington at home favored by 4.5.
I'm going to take Carolina plus the points.
All right, so now we go into our picks with Mclovin. We got LA and Seattle. Who do you got?
Seattle.
Okay. Miami and Jets. Who do you got?
Miami.
Green Bay and Chicago. Who do you got?
Green Bay.
Jacksonville and Tennessee. Who do you got? Or Jacksonville and Houston. I'm sorry.
Houston.
I'm going to take Jacksonville. Cleveland and Buffalo. Who do you got?
Buffalo.
Okay. Philadelphia and Baltimore. Who do you got?
Baltimore.
I'm going to take Philly. I got a weird feeling about this game. Tennessee and Kansas City. Who do you got?
Kansas City.
Detroit and Giants. Who do you got?
Giants.
I'm going to take Detroit. Indianapolis and Minnesota. Who do you got?
Indy.
I'm going to take Minnesota. At home. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati.
Pittsburgh.
New Orleans, Arizona.
New Orleans.
San Francisco, Atlanta.
Atlanta.
New England, Denver.
New England.
Oakland, San Diego.
Oakland.
Tampa Bay, Dallas.
Dallas.
I'm going to take Tampa Bay. And Carolina, New Orleans, or Carolina, Washington.
Washington.
Okay, Carolina. All right, so we differ on 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 games. I can get back to 18 games out.
I thought you were 26 games.
24 games out. And now it's your dad's favorite.
My dad's favorite time.
Your dad's favorite time of the show, right?
ADP.
Yep. Whoops. My phone gonna work? There we go.
Nigga, what up? Nigga, what up?
What's up, man? How you been, dude?
Yeah, nigga. Man, just out here modulating and shit. You know what I mean? I fucking punched my window out and shit. You feel me?
Yeah.
We saw in the video. And we saw in the video. Yeah.
Oh my fucking god. Dude.
Hey, so your long snapper or whatever's out for the year. Did you read about that?
Yeah, I heard about that shit, man. We're so fucked, bro. I mean, god fucking damn, dude. I don't even look forward to this shit, man. Like, I was at the fucking gym, right, man? And the game was, I'm guessing that the game was televised and shit. Man, I ain't even missed that shit. I'm like, yep, fuck it, nigga. We lost there anyway. You feel me? Fuck it.
So let's hear your upset of the week. Who do you got?
My upset of the week. Let me go on NFL.com, my nigga, because we got some shit to pop off with. Upset of the week. Let's see here. We got. Well, I got personally. I think the fucking. I have
The 49ers over the Falcons.
Tampa Bay over Dallas.
That's what I got. I picked Tampa Bay over Dallas. Yep. All right, so we're 1-0 there. All right, but let's go into these other games that me and Mclovin differ on. Jacksonville heads into Houston. Who do you got?
Jacksonville. Oh fuck! I got Houston, man. Jacksonville ain't shit. Jesus fucking Christ, man.
All right, so Mclovin picked Houston. We got Philadelphia going into Baltimore. Who do you got? I actually have Philly in the upset.
I think you're on fucking CERN shit. Man, I got fucking Baltimore fucking depleting our ass, bro.
Okay. Then we got Detroit going into New York to face the Giants. Who do you got there?
Oh, shit, man. That's going to be a good one, dude. I'm going to pick the Lions, man.
I picked the Lions also. And then we got Indianapolis going into Minnesota.
I got the Colts, man. I don't think the Vikings, man, are what they used to be, man. Especially earlier on in the season, man. They went 5-0, dude. They just fucking collapsed, dog.
And then the last game is a Monday night sexy game. It's Carolina heading into Washington. And I say that sarcastically.
Oh, man. Fuck this game, dude. I got Cam Newton fucking Kirk Cousins up the ass.
Yep.
I'm only picking Cam Newton and the Panthers because Cam Newton is black, and I got to put it down for my
I knew it.
in the struggle.
I knew it. I was going to finish your sentence, but I figured I'd let you have it because you said it a million times in your videos because Cam Newton's black.
Oh, yeah, man. I got to fucking represent my thug niggas in the struggle.
All right, man. So yeah, go ahead. What happened?
What happened?
Oh no, I thought you were going to say something. So this has been Edp445 with his upset of the week and the deciding factor between me and Mclovin on our picks. Link to his channel will be down in the description box. EDP again, thanks for being on the show. We only got 3 weeks left of this regular season, man, and then it's playoff football, man.
Man, I cannot wait for this fucking season, man. I'm fucking tired of this. I'm fucking miserable, man. Fuck this season.
Doug Peterson.
Fuck that bitch, man. I hate that motherfucker.
And Jim Schwartz.
Man, what a piece of shit of a fucking football coach this motherfucker. I mean, dude, this guy fucking sucks, man. Like, fucking.
McLovin's nodding his head up and down, agreeing with you.
I don't. Schwartz is not a good coach.
Man, my nigga Andy, I want to take a meat cleaver. McLovin, I want to take a meat cleaver to fucking Doug Peterson's goddamn kidneys, man. I want to slice his fucking liver out, dog.
Nice.
Do you know that you ever see Jim Schwartz on the sidelines? It almost looks like he's like getting ready to be in a porno or something. Like he's all weird. I can't explain it, man. I saw him on the sideline. I forget, it was a couple games ago. He just stood there with a face like he was looking at some young girl that he just wanted to fucking molest and shit.
Yeah, man, he has that weird ass fucking look upon his face, nigga, on some Ron Jeremy shit, nigga, like he's gonna fuck the shit out of goddamn Carissa Banks shit.
All right, man. Thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Okay, see ya.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys for having me on, man. Good shit.
All right.